I'd like to repeat a few words spoken more than 2,000 years ago by a man pleading for his life. They found him guilty, but he was one of the best human beings ever to draw breath on this planet. He never wrote a single word, but the things he said, after all this time, they're still remembered, word by word, and still have lots to do with what keeps civilization more or less open for business. His name was Socrates. Now, even way back then in Athens, a few centuries before the birth of Christ, they had problems with the younger generation, but not Socrates. He was very heavy with the kids, and this, not surprisingly, got him into trouble with the establishment. The way he was rapping with them was supposed to be giving youth some dangerous ideas, turning them off the Athenian way of life. He was brought to trial for it, sentenced to death. Here's what he had to say in his defense some 2,000 years ago. I'm more than 70 years of age. This is the first time I've ever appeared in a court of law. I don't know how you have felt listening to the speeches of my accusers, but they're very persuasive. They almost made me forget who I was. And yet they hardly spoke a word of truth. These lies, you know, began a long time ago when all of you were children. Socrates, they told you, searches into things. He makes the bad look like the better. He teaches these evil doctrines, pretending to be wiser than the others. Well, the truth is that I don't pretend to any real wisdom at all. But I did go once to a man who had the reputation of wisdom. I won't mention his name. He's a politician. When I started to talk with him, I couldn't help seeing that he wasn't wise at all. He just had the reputation and believed it himself. I tried to explain that to him. And the consequence of that, of course, was that he hated me. I went to one famous wise man after another, and I swear to you, I found that those with the most reputation were often the most foolish. So, in fact, the wisest man is the one who knows his wisdom is worth nothing. Now here's Meletus, that good and patriotic man, as he calls himself. What does he say? That Socrates is a corrupter of youth. Meletus, let me ask you a question. You've thought a great deal about the improvement of youth, yeah? You've taken the trouble to discover who corrupts them, tell the judges they're just who improves them. The laws. Who knows the laws? The judges. These judges then are able to instruct and improve our young people. Well, that's good news. We have plenty of improvers then. Now, what do you say of the senators? They improve our young people, do they? And all the other citizens, they all improve them. And I alone am the corrupter. All the rest of the world are improving them. You say that I'm an atheist, teacher of atheism. Meletus, you are a liar. Did ever any man believe in horsemanship and not in horses? Did ever man believe in the existence of human things and not of human beings? How can a man believe in spiritual matters and not believe in divinity? If you in this court should say to me, Socrates, this time we'll let you off, but on one condition, that you're not to inquire and speculate any longer. If we catch you doing it again, then you shall die. I would have to reply, I shall obey God rather than you. As a soldier of the wars, I went where I was ordered, like any other man facing death. So what if now, when, as I imagine, God orders me to fulfill the philosopher's mission of searching for truth, I were to desert my duty because I was afraid of death? That would be very strange. To fear death is to pretend to know what cannot be known. Just here, I might perhaps fancy myself a bit wiser than most other men, because although I know very little, I don't pretend or imagine that I know more than that. I'm a man like other men. I have a family, yes, and sons, 3 of them. I'm not bringing them here to petition for my acquittal. I think there's something wrong in petitioning a judge instead of informing and convincing him. His duty is not to make a present of justice, but to give judgment. No, I won't make bargains. I tell you that virtue cannot be bought with money. Is this the teaching which corrupts our young people? Acquit me or not, while I have life and strength, I shall never cease from asking this of anyone I meet. Friend, why do you care so much for money and for reputation and so little about truth? Well, if you let me go now, will your children all be utterly ruined by listening to my words? About the first Christmas I can remember, I was given one of those toy Noah's Arks with all the little wooden animals. Since then, I've always been fascinated by Noah's story, and when I grew up, I wrote a play on the subject, and a film script, and a novel. Since then, there has appeared, or will appear on Broadway, a musical, which I had nothing to do with, about Noah, and carrying the same title as my play, my book, and my novel on the same subject. 2 by 2, the title, and it would seem pretty safe to guess that my own contributions to the literature of the deluge will remain, respectively, unproduced, unphotographed, and unpublished. And by way of saying goodbye to them, here, with some strong help from the Bible, is a sort of condensation of my main ideas on that theme. The character speaking is a simple man, no prophet, and you may observe that he is of the same faith as the original authors of the Genesis. No offense is intended, but this is, after all, a Jewish story. God looked upon the earth, and behold, it was corrupt, and the earth was filled with violence, and the wickedness of man was great. And it repented the Lord that he had made man, and it grieved him at his heart. And the Lord said, I will destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, for it repenteth me that I have made them. Behold, I shall bring a flood of waters upon the earth,
to destroy all flesh, and every living thing shall die. But then, you know, after he'd fixed it for a big flood to wash everything away, God began to feel a little sorry. It says so right here in the Bible. God changed his mind. He remembered somebody that he loved. He remembered Noah. Who was Noah? All that we know from the Bible is that he was very old and liked to get very drunk. But Noah, it says here, found grace in the eyes of the Lord. And God said unto Noah, the earth is filled with violence. And behold, I will bring a flood to destroy all flesh, and every living thing shall die. Except you, Noah. And your wife, Mrs. Noah. And your sons. And, of course, their wives. And so you won't starve when the flood's over. We'll have to save the birds and the animals, too. So hurry up, for God's sake, and build a boat. A big one, put into it every living thing of all flesh. 2 of every sort shalt thou bring into the ark to keep them alive with thee, male and female. And Noah did as God told him. And that way, after all, everything was saved. He built a boat, the ark, and all the fountains of the great deep were broken up, and the windows of heaven were opened. And Noah went in, and his sons and his wife and his sons' wives with him into the ark, and the beasts of the earth and the birds of the sky, and every living thing that creepeth upon the earth went in 2 by 2 unto Noah into the ark, male and female, as God had commanded Noah. And that way, after all, everything was saved. 40 days and 40 nights the rain was upon the face of the earth, and the ark was lifted up and went upon the face of the waters. All flesh died that moved upon the earth, and all that was on the dry land died. And Noah only remained alive, and they that were with him in the ark. And the waters prevailed upon the face of the earth 150 days. Then God made a wind to pass over the earth, and the waters were assuaged. The windows of heaven were stopped. And Noah opened the window of the ark, and he sent forth a dove from him to see if the waters were abated from off the face of the ground. But the dove found no rest for the sole of her foot, for the waters were on the face of the whole earth, and she returned to the ark. And Noah put forth his hand and took her and pulled her in unto him, onto the ark. And 7 days later, he sent forth the dove again out of the ark. But in the evening, the dove came back to him, and lo, in her mouth was an olive branch plucked off. So Noah knew that the waters were abated from off the earth. And in another 7 days, he sent forth the dove. And she returned not again to him anymore. And Noah removed the covering of the ark and looked. And behold, the face of the ground was dry. And God spoke to Noah and said, go on, go ashore. It's all over. Take Mrs. Noah and your sons and their wives, and take with you all the living things that you saved from the flood, that they may breed and multiply and replenish the earth. Into your hands they are delivered. Every moving thing that liveth shall be meat for you, even as the green herb have I given you all things. But at the hand of every man's brother will I require the life of man. Whoso sheddeth man's blood, by man's shall his blood be shed. The Lord said in his heart, I will not again curse the ground anymore for man's sake. For the imagination of man's heart is evil from his youth. Neither will I again smite every living thing as I have done. While the earth remaineth, seed time and harvest, and cold and heat, and summer and winter, and day and night shall not cease. So the waters had dried up for good, and everybody went ashore and started in to do their thing all over once again, including old Captain Noah, who got himself stinking drunk to celebrate. It's right here in the Bible. And now that the storm was over, up in the sky, there was a rainbow. And God said, look, I set my rainbow in the cloud, and it shall be for a token of a covenant between me and the earth, that never, never shall the earth be destroyed by me. And the rainbow shall be in the cloud, and I will look upon it, that I may remember the everlasting covenant between me and every living creature. So, the rainbow is God's promise, never again to destroy what he created. A contract printed up in all the colors there are. So if ever again he should feel tempted to call it a bad job and blow us up or wash the whole world away into darkness, there in the sky will be his rainbow, like a string on God's finger, to remind him of his promise, that from now on he's left the whole thing in our hands. The earth and all that grows on it, and everything that lives on it, in our hands. While the earth remaineth, seed time and harvest, and cold and heat, and summer and winter, and day and night shall not cease.